Restream. I like it.
Yeah, it's a cool platform. We're gonna upgrade it here. Just starting the show with Jeremy Lasman. Um, yeah, I think. Well, we're actually finally. Yeah, you were back there. We're finally launching the website, and with the first channel, and that's going to be a few days before David Icke. He's on the 18th. I think we're shooting for the 11th. It looks like. I mean, we could get in. We could go start it in the next. We could start it now if we wanted to, but we're not in a rush. Like what we were talking about, just there's no, hurry up and wait mentality. It's just like let it. You've come this far, just let it organically happen, and so that's pretty cool. But when we get to that point, at least initially, I think we're gonna we're not. I think we're going to upgrade our plan. And so instead of 7 platforms, I think we'll be around 12 to 15, so that'll be cool. That'll be very cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm going to share this on my page too.
Yeah, go ahead. We're live. I'm going to play a little intro. We're mixing it up, playing some old school stuff today for the intro instead of our normal one. So we'll be back in 2 minutes.
Todd Medina, Soldier One Studios. What's going on here? Democracies, aristocracies, oligarchies, monarchies, hierarchies, presidents and popes. What's the real dope? What's this all about? Faith, hope, doubt? That's all that earth stuff, man. I am a multi-dimensional, high-vibrational, evolutionary being, and I'm tired of hiding it. I am soul. I don't care who or what tried or is trying to deceive us. Call it the devil or another's Messiah, prophet, or God. It's all the same to me. Whoever they are, they can never take our souls, and that's when we came here to learn. From the burn of being wrong, denying who we are, taking orders, lawless laws, a branded existence, but not anymore. I am divinity. Yeah. Alright. The power we hold to mold the future, heavenly nirvana. From the inside, present, eternal. It's time to be a bolder flame. The game isn't the same. We are the spirit science synthesis, the action of conscious thought, alignment, transmuting to a living wisdom. Yeah. No longer dreaming the life, I am living the dream.
I just want to know where all the black hair went, man. That was only like 4 years ago. Is this what light worker duty does to you? Your hair is not getting white. What's up with that?
It's what can I say? I mean, like, no stress. That's what it's all about. No stress.
Right. That's what I'm holding. That's what I'm holding out for.
Yeah.
But no, we were just talking before the show, and Jeremy, it's good to have you back. We've done a few shows together, 2018, maybe early 2019. Hadn't seen you in a while. I've seen you out there. I always love your energy. You're unique. You have your original ideas, and I like the way you run with the ball. And it's like it's like we haven't talked in a while, but it feels like we're just picking up where we left off. But it's good to have you back.
Always good to see you. I love those interviews we did. 2018, you said? Definitely.
I know.
Pivotal for me.
Definitely 2018, 29. I can't remember anything anymore. Yeah, but it was. I know we were in Hawaii.
Yep.
So that would have been actually 2019. Yeah, 2019. But wow. I mean, what a trip, man. I mean, and you're also one who has been in the arena, who's merging, what are the words I'm looking for, but like merging this new vocation or the new vocations that have been generated by Lightworker service. So you're trying to, or at least you were, and I'm sure you're still doing it, like merging old 3D business paradigm with 5D paradigm, and how do you do that? And we've been on the same path as well, which involves what's an equal energy exchange? Do you charge? Do you not charge? There's just so many intricacies within the intricacies of everything that we're doing, which is what we were talking about before the show, how it's like permeated into how do we think, how do we function, how does the short-term memory work or not work? I mean, it's like every day you come to you wake up to this existence, and it's an absolutely new world. There's things that have left you, and there's things that are new to you. And it's like, what do you do, man? I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. For me, everything becomes simplified to me when I see it through the lens or the currency or the fuel of passion. That to me is what bridges the 3D and the 5D in that new conglomeration. Or I forgot what word you use, but when everything shifts, I was just talking to some colleagues about this, like the reimagining of what success means. Now that all those old definitions have fallen away, it's really a shift into more passion, into seeing passion as the fuel of the dynamics of the exchange, as you said. I think that to me is the language that I use for it.
Yeah, it's like, that's a good point, and I've said a few times over the last few months on the show, it's like, it just boils down to being with who you love, doing what you love. And that doesn't, I don't want to say it supersedes shadow work or inner work or zero pointing, because I think we're constantly, whether we're conscious of it or not, or like it or not, being forced to the middle road in integrating these polarities. But if it doesn't supersede that type of thing, this forward motion, you can almost look at like shadow work, inner work, zero pointing being a good defense, right? Well, now we have this offense that's been kind of like unleashed, and we're treading lightly because we don't want to fall into the patterns of capitalism and all the other isms and all that. And but there is something about that forward motion that clears the path and brings alignment, such as zero pointing does. It's more fun. It's you know what I mean? It's a little bit more enjoyable. Not that I don't honor all the shadow work and the zero pointing that I've done and will do, but it's a nice spin though. It's a nice spin to see people thriving in their bliss.
100%.
Yeah,
that's the party vibe.
Yeah, the party vibe.
Yeah,
the party vibe. Right. I mean, how do you mentioned the word success, right? And like, I don't know why. Maybe it's because that little boy in me is coming back out, right? Not that he hasn't been, because anyone that knows me knows I'm Peter Pan in the heart, but I'm talking about, how did he function the first few years of his life? I can always remember a smile. I would always hear that. I'm not talking about me. I'm just trying to make a point about our childlike wonder and curiosity and intelligence. So this young boy, 6 years old, whatever, always walked around with a smile. Like his attitude was, why wouldn't you? So I've been thinking about that because it's come to the surface in the last few days. And I've been thinking about, how did he navigate life? How did he navigate the universe? because we all know, even as kids, we were connecting.
Yes.
But how did he do that? What did that feel like?
Mm-hmm.
From an energetic standpoint, that's a powerful connection to a level of intelligence that's proven in this incarnation within my own life. And I got to say, it works the same for everybody else.
Yes.
That's
yeah. You know what like question comes up in response to that, especially us more conscious and aware, sensitive beings, is what is the difference between innocence and mastery? Because like what you illustrated there in the innocence of that inner child is really the absence of knowing of like what's going on, right? And that's why it's so pure in the smile, right?
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, in the mastery that we're all after, and is really the capital K knowing, the like the I know kind of energy, that confidence, that that comes from like when you're really precise in the oneness, in the like I know my shit, and I know I'm one with God, and like that is that innocence too, or you know what I'm saying? Like
that's a great. This is why I always like talking to you. But yeah. So is the question? This isn't the question you said, but like, is that innocence mastery? Well, if you look at that energetic, that entity, that, let's just use me as an example, that 6-year-old Todd, how was he navigating the universe? How was he navigating life? Uninhibited, innocent, curious, with his heart leading. Is that mastery? I mean, it sure feels like it as you're talking about it. Like there's something to be said for that. And I said for a while too, like maybe the biggest challenge for us is getting used to our natural nature. Because if you go back to the kid, so the kid was bouncing around, he was uninhibited, fairly uninhibited. I know we all got conditioned from day one, but you're bouncing around and you start to be told no. You start to be told you can't do that. You start to be told you got to adhere to this schedule. You got to do this, and so it starts to lose its luster.
Yes.
And then in time, we know we got disconnected. But if you look at that, what's happening now? Well, it's almost like the reverse. The constraints are coming off. I know we just have this quarantine, but is it really a constriction, or is it an opportunity for energetic self-introspection and evaluation and transformation? In other words, like my wife says, the first step to transformation is awareness. There's been a lot of awareness going on this year, whether you're in a light worker circle or not. There's been a lot of questioning, which is curiosity. Like, why are we doing this? Why do you wear a mask? Why do I listen to everything they put before me on a commercial or a TV or a movie? Now, there's a lot of questioning going on. So I got to believe that it's almost like the reverse, that the constraints are being taken off by the personal energetic decisions and claims of our sovereignty that we're making within ourselves.
It's
a party vibe.
Yeah. And that's even, it gets closer to that. Like, if I know that I'm sovereign, is that an added layer on top of the innocence?
Wow.
Because is innocence me forgetting that I'm sovereign and still being in that purity, or do I need to remember that I'm sovereign and remind myself that I'm sovereign? That's a really interesting line, because
it is.
I've seen practitioners, masters in their craft, who are so focused and precise and quote unquote serious about what they do, and because they're masters, because they're very precise and very tuned in and aligned, but I don't see the innocence, the joy emanating from their field. And I wonder, seriousness is such a rabbit hole for me, of like, I rebelled against the seriousness that I saw in some of my family members, just that negative energy. But then on the flip side, I love the seriousness of passion when it's directed, when it's like hot. There is a seriousness there, because it's like you need to hit that precise tone or that precise music, that precise beat, or else it doesn't sound right.
Yeah,
it doesn't play right. So it's very serious. You need to do it. But in the innocence, it's so loose, it's so messy, it's so
it's playing in the sandbox, playing in the mud.
Yeah.
I mean, having sand in the crack of your ass when you go inside to take a bath. It's uninhibited.
Yeah.
And I think what you're saying about the seriousness thing, I agree with you. And I've been susceptible of that, to that. And I was, obviously, before I reawoke, most of the time, but even after. But yeah, there's something about, okay, so I'd use this exercise sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Does this exist in 5D? Like, we can call it heaven or nirvana. Does seriousness, is it in that realm? Now, I know in my dimensional experiences, with, let's say, teachers or masters, there is a seriousness.
Yeah.
But I think that was a big part of that, was because of the human in me was the predominant energy, and they were speaking to that part of me to help me to connect to the bigger part of me. But the seriousness that you're talking about, I don't believe it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's what we're talking about. They're trying to talk about is it's the that childlike wonder quality, that intelligence of the child.
Yes.
That works in the natural rhythm of nature.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, they don't even think about it. So I love what you said about the sovereignty to innocence thing, and to me, it creates something within me to say, hey, don't take sovereignty too seriously. Like, don't let it become a rebellious frequency.
Yes.
Or a retaliatory frequency.
Yes.
You claim your sovereignty is really, as I sit here and ponder what you've said, it's the sovereignty that I want to, that I can see, as far as I can see at this point, that I want to latch onto, or that I want to uphold, is a peace of mind.
Yes.
A self and mutual respect.
Yes.
An honor and a reverence. It's not like, hey, don't F with me. I'm gonna pull out my, like my no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Very good one.
The way, like, in my language, in terms of the 5D heaven on earth, like, does seriousness exist? To me, the way to delineate the frequencies is seriousness can either be positive or negative. It can be a positive or negative thing, because we have free will. Everything is possible, and so it can exist on either pole. But the frequency delineation in how I see it is, it's either self-conscious seriousness, or self-aware seriousness. So when you're self-conscious, the seriousness is real and it's concrete.
Yeah.
And there's no movement on that.
Yeah.
And it's black and white in that. But in self-awareness, in 5D, everything is possible. So you can choose seriousness But if you're self-aware that it's all a dream, that it's all malleable, then it's a lighter, it's a higher frequency of seriousness that's unattached to a personal identity.
Yeah. I like this one. Lighten up and become enlightened.
I love that.
Don Cusino Gerhardt. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, he is a beautiful brother, Candace, isn't he? Alicia Young Hall. She's lit, and best to you and your baby coming. Gene Key 46, seriousness with the city of bliss.
Oh,
so yeah. Oh, and you did make a really good distinction there, because I can speak for myself, but I think others as well, in that at certain moments in our reawakening, the level of awareness does become so acute, like a pinpoint of cosmic light. And you're like going, holy effing shiitake mushrooms. I really am an eternal soul, or I really am connected, There's a point, and it is serious. It takes your breath away, it's and even I could even attribute that in my relationship with Morgan at times. And I'm just like, I can remember like last night, like what was happening between us, and nothing really being said other than what I was absolutely, which rarely happens, am told to say. You need to tell her this now. But most of my night was like, oh my God, I want to say all these things, because there was a seriousness and I wanted to convey it. But here's another alteration in this transition, which is the telepathy and the infusion of what used to be otherworldly and dimensional now coming into play in the physical. And so the bottom line is, I didn't have to say a word. Nothing needed to be said. It was all being said. Crazy, man. This is, I love your word seriousness, because I feel like what you were just talking about, the seriousness of awareness, like that seems to be showing itself every day more now. Like, that to me would be a positive thing, a benefit for all of us. And I feel like that's happening.
Truly. Because it's like we're all being called off the stands and into the arena, as you mentioned. Like, it is the energy. You can't hide it. You can't hide anymore. You can't hide anymore.
No. I wonder, again, this isn't, I'm looking at the energy, right? We're talking about the kid, and I remember as a young kid being very aware, 4, 5, 6 years old, right? Being very aware of my light and being aware of the effect it had on people. To the point where, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, energetically speaking, as sensitives, as empaths, intuitives, and that you don't want to go, you don't want to step out there. I remember as a little kid, they'd have all these people come over, like, come out and say hi to everybody, and I would curl up in a ball and not in the hallway and not come out, because I was so petrified. But it was the attention, right? It was the attention. And I love what you said about we're all having to come out now. And you can see that in people that have been reluctant and tentative for rightfully so, but man, when they come out, like it's a totally different exercise in power. It's like this softness, man or woman, that speaks in you could shout at the top of the bully pulpit with a one of those megaphones in a pure alpha male, masculine, perfect, speech, and then you have this other element now coming in that's just kind of like poof, like it just doesn't even have to say anything. And I think that's that feminine in all of us that's coming out.
Authority.
Yeah. This is the other thing I noticed too, Jeremy, and I know you're pretty well versed, and because I can just tell from our past experience, I know you touch on a lot of things like I do, like you watch this, a little bit of this video, a little bit of that video to pick up on the energy. And obviously some of my time spent checking in on talk shows, and I pay attention to the frequency, right, to the purity, I guess, the alignment, the frequency of the conversation. And I've noticed that some of the go-tos that I kind of keep my eye on are kind of flatlining. They're kind of like doing the same thing, and it's going like they're hitting their head against the ceiling, right? Because there is a ceiling.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder to me, not just in terms of what we try to produce on this show, but my own life. And that is remove the ceiling, remove the ceiling, remove the ceiling, remove the ceiling. And it's so powerful where two or more gather. So like with Morgan and me, or with you and I on the show right now, there's so much more potential because it's not 1 + 1 = 2 anymore. It's 1 + 1. Who knows what it equals? It's a huge number.
Yeah. The word that applies to the work that I do in everything that you just painted there so clearly, innovation.
Yeah.
Innovation and the courage to throw everything away all the time and go to the cutting edge of consciousness.
Yeah.
That's always fresh. It's going to be new and unexpected and fresh. Like it's that innovation is what I feel is in that pure entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
And the ones that hit those ceilings, as you mentioned, are being bottlenecked by the fear of holding on to the old 3D systems, and the businesses, the people that are willing to come back to that innovation of the entrepreneurial spirit, to go and pioneer into the territories that have not been done. And I was just watching a documentary about stand-up comedians and the ones that disrupt and go to those territories that aren't afraid to walk in those really dangerous grounds are the ones that are the most lit in how they push things forward and how they innovate the space that they're in.
Yeah, you're right. Like Lenny Bruce, Richard Pryor.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you're right. This term fresh. That's it. Like so the universe has always operated on expansion, right? That's what got us into this game, or we'd all be one up there, just one with the beam of light and the sound and all that. So, so we've had it going on here all along. It's been the biographies, the histories of human perseverance, and things like that. But there was a heavy projection of duality that, retarded the growth of, or at least made it difficult for souls to really jump out there, But now that seems to have lifted, and there's not, the shoe's not dropping. There's not like that. I don't know how to explain it, but there's not that type of projection in the field anymore. I know some of the programs are running, but they're running from us, and I don't see an external force holding that up. If that's what was happening before, a lot of people have conveyed narratives they received from infinite intelligence that follow that. So what I'm getting at is now it's moving so rapidly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're moving through it unencumbered. It's speeding up. Things are coming to you like poof, 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 information, innovation, right? Code, everything. Boom, 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 boom. And so like to then take that and pause and go, okay, now what do I do with this? Right?
Hmm.
Okay. By the time you even ask the question, there's all this other stuff going, right?
Yep.
So this is what I was saying before the show. Everything is changing. The way we function, the way we think is changing. So it's like it's coming in, and you just allow it to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And just like you will have whatever you need, you will pull from that transmission, even though you don't remember anything about it right now. When you need it, it'll be there for you.
Mm-hmm.
And just like that will be when you are to act on the information that you received, you will know when, and you will know what. So this is not the typical, it's not even close to what we've been through before with 5-year plans and 10-year plans and strategic planning and forecasting. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It really is. So what have you been doing? Where has your work gone to now, your passion? I know some of the stuff that you were doing before.
Yeah.
What are you doing now?
So it's really been stepping into and being more visible, claiming the authority of my invention with imagination technology, which I talked about a lot on the prior shows. And actually it kind of segues off what you just said beautifully in the processing that you're talking about of information. And we know the 3D symptoms of when it's slow. That's the stress, that's the anxiety, that's all the bottlenecks, right? Is the friction in that flow. And so for the metaphor that I offer with this invention, with imagination technology, it's really the technological application of what quantum computing really means, but for the human brain, or for the soul construct that is our body, mind, spirit, soul, consciousness. And to me, everything becomes much more efficient when you can process much faster.
Yeah.
And taking that metaphor, and a lot of 5D practitioners are already claiming quantum, and you hear like quantum shamans and quantum mechanics and all of that flavor is there. And I'm just doing my work and my passion to really help people understand and apply that metaphor, and to see that coevolution happening.
Yeah.
Because quantum computing is emerging in the technological space.
Yeah.
It is here. It's a wild, wild west, but it's here.
Yeah.
And it's becoming real. Quantum computers, IBM, Microsoft, Amazon, they're all in it. They're doing it. And that's one side of the mountain. And then we have human evolution over here.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the same thing.
It's the real technology, right?
It's the real technology.
It's the real quantum. It's the model.
Yep.
And the model is infinite.
Mm-hmm.
And the I guess the lifestyle or the perspective is virgin. at this point. So we're like, okay, it's kind of like sacred sexuality with Morgan. Like, we put our fingers together and all of a sudden there's orgasmic sensations. And all we've done is dip our big toe into the pool of sacred sexuality. And you're looking at the pool and it's a fucking ocean going, oh my God, what are we in store with? This is where I see the quantum thing. But we are, and this is another thing I was talking about with the energetic field. I'm not picking on other talk shows. I'm not picking on anything. I'm just stating a reality of this whole hitting the head on the ceiling thing, and which is that so if I put it in words, like in the context of a talk show, when are we going to run out of things to talk at this level of conversation? Yes, we know enough of the narratives of how the world was set up the last 6,000 to 12,000 years. Yes, we know that there's an Illuminati. Yes, we know this. And yes, we know about GM. And yes. And COVID and quarantines and masks are just another replication of that. So that is a finite conversation. But like you said, the other side of that is the human, the spirit, the mind, body, soul. This is an infinite conversation.
Yes.
Let's talk about us. Let's talk about why these constructs were put in place. What was the purpose of sex becoming taboo and dirty and nasty and porn? What was the objective of all these things to keep us from ourselves? Now let's start to talk about this.
Yeah.
That's, to me, a limitless conversation, because its subject is a limitless image or interpretation or creation of what made us, what got us here.
So good. Where I go, because Soulogy and everything that you're doing with this network is proof, or is the example of this, is the role modeling of this, is like, it goes from being about the information, and you talk so good about it, of it's been done and it's flatlined.
Yeah.
And so it goes from being about the information being talked about to how the information is being expressed. Because if you're going to have a show about talking about information from a place of the already imagined, already known, that's boring. And that's exactly what you're talking about. But if you have a show that's also about talking about information, but it's from a place of innocence, from a place of, I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I don't know. I'm completely in the dark. That's engrossing, because that's truth. And it can still be talking about history and broad strokes of evolution and all of that. But the energy, the presence is the way it's delivered makes it innovative, because it's territory that has not been walked on.
No.
You're walking on it moment by moment.
Yeah. And not only is it not been walked on by any of us, it's not been walked on by any of that. Which is why there's so many things are flipping, paradoxically speaking, flipping, like we thought it was this and no, it's this. And so many things are being zero pointed,
Yep.
And it's not, we think about, right and wrong, good and bad, pro-Trump, against Trump, or all these other things. We think of that, we got to bring this in. We got to bring this in. But it's not just that. It's the physical and the non-physical. It's the higher self and the human. It's our divine essences and galactic light beings and angels and archangels, or whatever you want to call these things, whatever they presented themselves as to us. They're connecting through us. We're the boots on the ground.
Yep.
And this is something that's been coming to me the last couple of days, which is, I think, as time goes on, one of the things that's going to become attribute of the divine human evolving is going to be a sense of awareness in regard to where we stand in the universal family. We are the fresh that you speak of.
Mhm.
And it's like they don't know what's going to happen because we're kicking ass and taking names. And that's why one reason that we wake up every day and there's a new truth. It's not because the universe is dropping gold nuggets on us, necessarily. It's because we're doing the work. Hell, showing up was 90% of it.
Yep. Yep.
Seriously.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's passion. That's the passion. That's because when you don't need to work to survive,
Yeah,
it becomes about how do I want to work to have fun?
Yeah.
For passion instead of fear for survival.
Yeah. It's in God, it's like, I don't know. I can look at my own journey. So it would be 3.5, let's say 4 years pre-Morgan. And that's only from the human perspective, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, from that point with her, and I look at the way that I think one thing that her and I share, one of the many things we shared was first of all, our faith. And second of all, is you can't really miss a step. I've always understood that. I was always told that there's no shortcuts. You can fast track, like going up an escalator as opposed to climbing stairs, but you can't circumvent anything. Mm-hmm. And I look at the methodical ascension, the incline that we've been on together, or at least in my own experience. And I look at some other things out there, and I see a lot of the struggle that I can relate to because I went through it, and I can see that. And I think this is where I'm going with what you're saying. It's like we're almost, I want to say we're in an atmosphere that is reciprocating. And if you're conscious and you work with it, it can be very easy and very graceful and very fulfilling. And what I mean by that is, for instance, let's say I'm stuck and, and I can actually give myself as an example. I was stuck. Morgan was in Australia. I'm trying to make something happen. I'm living in a suitcase. I don't even know where I'm going to stay the next day. And I'm told, just pick up the microphone and do your thing. I'm just told, do that. And as time went on and I trusted it, it was more obvious, the immediate manifestation, that the return, the yield, the reciprocation. And I think that's where we're at. I think we're in an energy now where wherever you're at, stop, take a breath and say, who do I want to be with? That's in equilibrium with me. Mm-hmm. What do I want to do? And just do it. And know it sounds far out, but there are people all over the world that are making that reality commonplace.
100%.
And it's not talked about. But I believe these conversations will go mainstream. And I don't mean soulogy necessarily. I'm just saying I believe that this self-awareness, self-empowerment, the expansion of the anchoring and embodiment of the multidimensional aspects, the sacred wisdom, and incorporating that into what is the human life day to day, I believe is going to become the number one topic, man. Like the number one focus.
Yeah.
Of it's pure collaborative co-creation energy.
Yeah.
Community.
Yeah.
Thrive.
Yeah. And is there, I guess there is, but is there even a mainstream anymore? Does that still, like when we look at the infinite array of choices and connection that is out there, and niches and networks and all of that, I don't think mainstream really means as much. I mean, you can watch TV and still stay somewhat connected to that idea of a mainstream tribal consciousness, but is that really hold muster to the ability to like connect the soulogy, which is a worldwide network that is its own mainstream in its consciousness.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Well, yeah. If you think of the level of accessibility that people in general have, then they can pretty much find whatever they want. So here we go again with be with who you love, do what you love.
Yes.
Part of doing what you love is putting before you those things that you need to educate yourself, to create a higher level of discernment, to whatever your soul leads you to, and also what entertains you, not in the bad sense of the word. If I like to listen to, old blues music, then that's my path of bliss. It could be a lot of things. My wife loves watching America's Got Talent. Yep. And every now and then she'll pull me over there. So you got to see this one. And the next thing you know, I'm bawling my eyes out because some 10-year-old girl singing like Whitney Houston, and she's so humble in the reception of what she expressed. It's just pure love. Like, so there's all this stuff out there, and I think that the levels of distortion may increase, but the level of distraction will decrease because there is a continuous expansion of this collective universal energy in this realm that's saying we are no longer going to facilitate and enable what is not true. You have just entered the no bullshit zone. So the sooner you pick up on that absolute, the smoother and more exciting and more successful your ride will be. And I really feel like we're moving that direction. And for me, one of the big signpost is the level of distortion.
Yeah. Hashtag party vibe.
Yeah. Hashtag party vibe.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
People.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because because you look at what's happening, all you got to do is watch a debate, for Christ's sake, or a commercial. How long have we watched, even for those who are not my age, how long have we watched negative political advertising? Like, I go on YouTube and this thing pops up and I'm looking at it going, are you serious?
Yeah.
It's like a false flag frequency. Like going, are you serious? Like you're insulting my intelligence. And I think that's what's happening. So as the distortion expands, it creates a good pressure on people to just say, you know what? I've had enough of this. Right. Yep. And so that's why I say there's a parallel, the more distortion, the less distraction. What does that mean? That means the more focus on self.
Yep. And through a lens of self-awareness, it's political entertainment.
Yeah.
It's political entertainment.
Yeah. I also see where that, and I obviously have been privy to certain intel from people that come on the show, and you know what I mean? As we all are. But I can see, they talk about the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yep.
About how many of us have been in the pits of hell back years ago. You know what I mean? But the light, I don't mean this as an end-all cure-all. I just mean new phase. But when people talk about the deconstruction of the educational system, finance system, governmental, religious institutions, and all that. It's not, it's not theory anymore. It's not hypothetical anymore. It's fucking happening. And so it's not a matter anymore of, is it going to happen? It's a matter of, what are you prepared to do?
Mhm.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do with that reality? Are you going to stand around like when we used to get our first downloads and go, wow, holy wow, you know what happened to me? You know what happened to me? You know what happened to me? Are we going to sit there and say, well, look what happened? Look. No, it's game time. The light workers, Starseed community, we have what the 1% always had, which was, Project Looking Glass or whatever, information from the future. So you're playing a game where you know what's going to happen and you're using that against the 99%. We have the information of the future. We hold that within ourselves. So, just to restate that, it's not about what's going to happen. It's about, what are we going to do with it?
Mhm.
Are we going to institute councils? Are we going to live community? Are we going to set the tone and the stage and the reality of what we share collectively by virtue of what we do on a personal level in each and every moment? Integrity has a new meaning in 5D.
Mhm.
We are absolutely 100% responsible for what goes on in this world. Every single one of us, in some level of comprehension beyond our current one, we might understand that, but we own this thing.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
You got any projects, anything you're working on?
Yeah, actually, I think it would be perfect to talk about. I've with a couple of other people, we've created a community off of Facebook called the Conscious Leadership Network.
The Conscious Leadership Network.
Yes, Conscious Leadership Network. Could drop a comment later, but it is.
Hang on, I'll write it down. ConsciousLeadershipNetwork.com.
Consciousleadership.life.
ConsciousLeadership.life.
Yeah.
Okay. Boom. There we go.
Sweet.
It didn't show on YouTube. How weird. Anyway, there it is.
Yeah. Sweet. Yeah. So it's. I wanted like a clean space off of Facebook that wasn't, moderated by Facebook. So it's, open. We want conscious conversations. Everything that you're talking about the real stuff, that law and truth, that's not being censored. And it's a place for, if I were to design the community for my inner rebel that didn't want to be a part of a community, it's really, fostering and facilitating that divergence and what makes every person unique, and that rebelliousness. And the kind of tagline for it is, what you do is revolutionary, and together we can change reality.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of stuff like that all over the world. There's a lot of soulogies all over the world. I think that's another thing we're going to find out too as time goes on, is how many of these oases or these initiatives are already in place on the grid when we get to a certain point and go, let's do this and let's do that. And they're like, oh, wait a minute. Well, they did that and we did this and that. Why don't we just put it all together? Which in reality it is put together. That's how this thing's working, but it's not, it just hasn't physicalized yet, which is what's occurring now. I think that's a great idea, what you're doing. That's going to be part of the soulogynetwork.com, is going to be a profile-based Facebook-esque community.
Right.
So I put the word I put the word out yesterday, because we have what we need. It's almost like there'll be 3 or 4 different web pages, and there will be, behind the scenes. And each one of them is like, one's a YouTube, one's a Facebook, one's the network with the channels and so on. So we're looking for someone to implement that part of it, similar to what you've created, that can build it, and then we'll infuse it when it's ready. We did put one together in 2019, which still exists, but I never rolled it out because it was not technology, not whatever that word is, at a level that was user friendly enough. It was too archaic. It was too archaic. The guy did a great job on it. My friend did a great job on it, but we were both Googling, our direction, which is okay. But as we all know, that everything changes very rapidly here. So I know that technology is out there. Another thing I'll say about that too, what you're talking about, and I'm just putting this in the field. I don't have an agenda, in that regard. But I also look at what other people are doing, and I stay open to what I've received for 7, 8, 9 years in regard to this network. And I see pieces like Soulogy Network is just a name. It's not owned. Okay. And you remember I talked to you about this, as the abundance comes in from contributions from gifting will be distributed equitably and proportionately to the contributors. So what I'm trying to say is there's pieces out there. And if we can get past the name or the ownership of it, I think it's very important. And certainly stay in a free flow state, then these pieces can all be put together, right? And that's something that's kind of like present in the field. In my field, as my understanding is starting to come together, but it doesn't have a human explanation where you can say, okay, go do this, go do that, go do this, go do that. It's just kind of sitting there like pieces, right? So that you say that really reminds me of this, triggers that. So there's a reason for everything, no doubt. Yeah. I'd love to see that. So it's conscious. What was it? Here is it. Conscious leadership.life. I can't pull it up on the screen. That's the only thing with this. I have to have broadcast software and the multi-stream hooked up at the same time, and I'm still working the bugs out on that. So somehow or another, we will manifest a $2,000, give or take, tower with 4-channel capability. Massive speed, like the top gaming towers. So then we can hook up the broadcast software and be able to combine everything.
It's going to be amazing. Yeah. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It really is. Yeah. Well, the good thing about what you're doing, you and your colleagues, what we're doing, is that it is outside the bounds of any potential censorship or constraints.
Precisely.
The only thing that will be, now this won't be right off the bat, but once we implement what we're putting together from from scratch, it's all custom. The only thing that won't be in our control will be the signal that comes into the central location, the internet. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't know of a way you can create your own internet yet. So.
Well, I think get on board with Elon Musk's Starlink. He's setting that up for beta, and that would totally take you off the Earth grid.
That'd be okay.
Yeah.
Because private server, private stream.
Yep. VPN, all of that stuff. You would.
Private Zoom capability. I mean, the whole 9 yards.
Yep. Yep.
So it's pretty cool. I don't see how one group, I mean, you had, let's say you had Facebook, you had YouTube, Google, Amazon. These were explosions, rapid growth, but they occurred with a lot of foreknowing. There was a lot of matrix apparatuses involved in, because if not, look at MySpace.
Right.
You gotta, I remember that it wasn't vastly inferior. There was something working in support of, with agenda, by the way. But what I'm saying is, I think now it's a little bit different. And I don't see how one element from the old, say, perspective of the old paradigm can create that massive boom. I think it has to be through co-creation and collaboration, which requires open-mindedness, and it requires surrender to the new frequency, which means letting go of copyright, trademark, ownership, debt. I mean, it's got to go. It's got to go. And I believe, thank God for Morgan Lee, for telling me it's not time yet. It's not time yet. It's not time yet. And I'm just pulling my hair out thinking, man, I can do this. We can do this. It's time, but it wasn't time. Anything that's going to be constructed anything that's going to be constructed that has any duality in its foundation will not last. And I don't care if it's 1%. It has to be pure. I heard this the other day in my communion, was because I always ask, help me to produce the right set of frequencies. And I hear the same thing, add frequencies to never expanding vibration. But I'm like, what does it look like? And I heard it's purity over personality. And I went, whoa, like, whoa. People tune into the frequency. And I'm not just talking about this show. I'm talking about anything. They tune into the frequency.
Purity over personality.
Purity over personality.
That's brilliant.
No longer are you going to have these caricatures, these iconoclastic images or symbols, or like Oprahs, and it's not like that. Collaboration and co-creation is the key. And the universe has created a field now, which we are. We are the universe. We are the boots on the ground, directly responsible for the atmosphere we're in. But it's created an atmosphere of, we ain't effing around. Here is purity. Here are the pillars of purity. There's the landscape and the road before you. Get on it. It's all yours, baby. There's no right or wrong. Take it as far as you want and what you're comfortable with. But I can promise you, if it's got any duality, if it's got any polarization, if it's got any belief systems that are anchored, no matter how big your heart is, it ain't going to last. It's not going to fly.
That's freaking powerful. Sustainability in 5D.
Yeah. You look like Jesus, dude. You're in Canada, aren't you?
No, California.
Southern California.
Yeah.
El Segundo.
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know that. I did not know that. I miss you. And I appreciate, and you know what I love too is everybody's changed. Everybody's expanding.
So
Okay.
fast.
And it's so cool to see the growth in others. Like and I know you can say the same for me, but I mean, I can see who you were and where you're at now and where you're going. Wow, it's powerful. It's powerful, you know. It's so cool because the elements of the old styles or means of communication are dropping. And it is becoming a purity, you know, heart-centered purity, raw. And yeah, we'll have to we just got back from Sedona and a while back, like 3 or 4 weeks ago. We were there for 3 weeks. I would imagine that we're going to be doing some traveling at some point. I hope we can hook up at some point. Southern California is always good.
Yes.
That's always good.
Yes. I would love that. I would love that.
LA's good for a visit. I wouldn't want to live there. I like Arkansas. It's a lot cheaper, man.
Yeah.
And it's just my, you know, more my, yeah. But got to have anchors of light everywhere, man. I totally respect those who are, you know, and I was in Houston for a long time in the beginning. You know, I mean, it's so necessary. I just feel like that in these areas that seem to be a heavy density, we got to understand that there's some powerful columns of light holding it down in these areas, and that will sooner than later show itself, you know.
Yep. This planet is lit up with all the light.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, we should get together. We should get together again, maybe late December.
I will keep in contact with Leilani and make sure that I'm on the books.
Let's see. You can, we both kind of worked that email. We're in such a state of flux right now because we've had literally never had this level of people requesting to come on. It's just gotten out of control. So we're working in, you know, without pressure to alleviate this and address it. And right now we got to focus on, you know, the launch of the website, the David Icke thing on the 18th, which is a huge blessing for us. And we've managed to build a pretty good schedule around them with, you know, Sandra Walter, Lori Ladd's coming on, Franco will be on, Judith Kuzel. So looks like it's going to be a pretty powerful month next month at Soulogy, but I think that's just reflective for all of us. You know, as the individual goes, so goes the collective.
Things are taking off for sure.
Man, I'm going to look like Jesus too, man. You look like Jesus. You look good, brother. Thank you. I love you. I'll see you again soon.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.